lighthouse stretches out into the sea. It descends so steeply over the harbour that part of the bank has fallen away, and some of the graves have been destroyed. In one place, part of the stonework of the graves stretches out over the sandy pathway far below. There are walks with seats beside them through the churchyard, and people go and sit there all day long, looking at the beautiful view and enjoying the breeze. I shall come and sit here often myself and work. Indeed, I am writing now with my book on my knee and listening to the talk of 3 old men who are sitting beside me. They seem to do nothing all day but sit here and talk. The harbour lies below me, with, on the far side, one long granite wall stretching out into the sea, with a curve outwards at the end of it, in the middle of which is a lighthouse. A heavy sea wall runs along outside of it. On the near side, the sea wall makes an elbow, crooked inversely, and its end too has a lighthouse. Between the 2 piers, there is a narrow opening into the harbour, which then suddenly widens. It is nice at high water, but when the tide is out, it shoals away to nothing, and there is merely the stream of the Esk running between banks of sand with rocks here and there. Outside the harbour, on this side, there rises for about half a mile a great reef, the sharp of which runs straight out from behind the south lighthouse. At the end of it is a buoy with a bell, which swings in bad weather and sends in a mournful sound on the wind. They have a legend here that when a ship is lost, bells are heard out at sea. I must ask the old man about this. He's coming this way. He's a funny old man. He must be awfully old, for his face is gnarled and twisted like the bark of a tree. He tells me that he is nearly 100, and that he was a sailor in the Greenland fishing fleet when Waterloo was fought. He is, I'm afraid, a very sceptical person. For when I asked him about the bells at sea and the White Lady at the Abbey, he said very brusquely, "I wouldn't fash myself about them, miss. Them things be all wore out. Mind, I don't say that they never was, but I do say that they wasn't in my time. They be all very well for comers and trippers and the like, but not for a nice young lady like you. Them feet folks from York and Leeds that be always eating cured herrings and drinking tea and looking out to buy cheap jet would creed out. I wonder myself who'll be bothered telling lies to them. Even the newspapers, which is full of food talk." I thought he would be a good person to learn interesting things from, so I asked him if he would mind telling me something about the whale fishing in the old days. He was just settling himself to begin when the clock struck 6, whereupon he laboured to get up and said, "I must gang kingwards home now, miss. My granddaughter doesn't like to be kept waiting when the tea is ready, for it takes me time to crammel aboon the grease, for there be many of them. And, miss, I like Daddy timbers early by the clock." He hobbled away, and I could see him hurrying as well as he could down the steps. The steps are a great feature of the place. They lead from the town to the church. There are hundreds of them. I do not know how many, and they wind up in a delicate curve. The slope is so gentle that a horse could easily walk up and down them. I think they must originally have had something to do with the Abbey. I shall go home too. Lucy went out, visiting with her mother, and as they were only duty calls, I did not go. August 1st. I came up here an hour ago with Lucy, and we had a most interesting talk with my old friend and the 2 others who always came and joined him. He is evidently the Sir Oracle of them. I should think he must have been in his time a most dictatorial person. He will not admit anything, and downfaces everybody. If he can't out-argue them, he bullies them, and then takes their silence for agreement with his views. Lucy was looking sweetly pretty in her white lawn frock. She's got a beautiful colour since she's been here. I noticed that the old men did not lose any time in coming and sitting near her when we sat down. She is so sweet with old people. I think they all fell in love with her on the spot. Even my old man succumbed and did not contradict her, but gave me double share instead. I got him on the subject of the legends, and he went off at once into a sort of sermon. I must try to remember it and put it down. "It be all food talk, lock, stock and barrel, that's what it be and no else. These bands and waps and boogles and bargas and boogles and all an anthem is only fit to set bairns and dizzy women a belthering. There be no but airplanes. They and all grims and signs and warnings be all invented by parsons and ilsome birk bodies and railway touters to scare and scunner happens, and to get folks to do something that they don't other incline to. It makes me earful to think of them. Why, it's them that, not content with printing lies on paper and preaching them out of the pulpits, just want to be cutting them on their tombstones. Look here, all around ye in what art ye will. All them steams holding up their heads as well as they can out of their pride is a cant, simply tumbling down with the weight of the live boat.
Almost there. There you go.
Or sacred to the minutes. Done up.
Yeah, I did.
Nobody's around. And the memories of them being carried on pinch of slum about. What's that secret? Nothing but lies and one best. Scattered about them at the edge like when they come tumbling up in their death throats. All kept together into their good ones. Some of them drinking and living, burning in fact dozens of them slipping from lying in the sea that they can't even keep a grip on them. I can see from the fellows still satisfied there the way in which he walked around. I put in the work to Mr. Swain. Surely these tombstones are not wrong. Gamblers. They may be a poorish few not wrong, save where they make out the people too. But there be folk that do think about
look out, bro.
The whole thing, the only lies. Now look you here. You can keep a shot. See this dirt house. I know, that's the I did not quite understand the time. I knew he had something to do with the church. He went on. I could say that all these schemes being put forward that we need to charge now. I said, then that be just where the line comes in. I barely suppose that these men that be too much old guns back about some fighting business. The nice ones the times they were. And my God, how could they be other ways? Look at it. Read the birthday beer. Read. I went over and read. Edward Spencer, master mariner, murdered by pirates on the coast of that place, April 1854, age 30. When I came back, Mr. Swales went on. Oh, round him home. To happen here. Murdered off the coast of that place. And you could say that his body lay on there. Why, I could name ye a dozen whose bones lie in the Greenland seas above. He pointed northwards. Or where the currents may have drifted. There be the stones about ye. You can, with your young eyes, read the small print of the lines from here. This great weight Larry, I knew his father. Lost in the lively of Greenland in 20, or Andrew Woodhouse drowned in the same seas in 1777, or John Paxton drowned off Cape Farewell a year later, or John Mullins, whose grandfather sailed with me, drowned in the Gulf of Finland and Whitby. You think that all these men will have to make a rush to Whitby when the trumpet sounds? Every average. Tell you that when they got here, they'd be jumping and jostling one another that way, and that it'd be like a fight up on the ice in the old days, when we'd be at one another from daylight to dark and trying to tie up our cuts when you roar aboard us. This was evidently a pleasantry. The old man behind the road, his troubles joined in the dust. What? I said, surely you're not quite right. Start on the assumption that all these spirits will have to take their tombstone and judgment. Yes, is it? Well, what else be they tombstones for? Answer me the voice. To please their relatives, don't see? Oh, it's funny. Well, that's because you don't count the sorrow mother was a hellcat that hated him because he was a creep, a regular lamb. And he hated her so that he committed suicide in order that she might be getting insurance she put on his name. He blew by the top of his head over the road, must have been they had were scared of him. Right for cold then, but the claims and doubts. And that's the way he fell on the rocks. And as to hopes of a glorious resurrection, I'd often heard him say myself that he hoped he'd go to hell. His mother was so pious that she was sure to go there. He didn't want to anger where she was. Isn't that Steve at any rate? He hammered it with a stick and spoke. Nice. Won't it make Gabriel cackle when Geordie comes punting up the gates with the tombstone balanced on his hump and asks to be took as evidence? I did not know what to say, but Lucy turned the conversation and she said, rising up, "Oh, why did you tell us of this? It's my favourite seat and I cannot leave it, and now I find I must go on sitting over the grave of a suicide. That won't make me pretty. And it may make poor Geordie gladsome to have so trim a lass on his back. That will hurt ye. Why, I've sat here on and off for nigh 20 years past. It hasn't done me no good. Don't ye fashion on them as lies on me, or that doesn't matter either. It'll be time for you to be getting scared when you see the tombstones all run away with, and the place as bare as a stump. Or that's the truth. I was king. My service to be Lucy and I sat a while, and it was all so beautiful for us that we took hands as we sat. And she told me all over again about our marriage. That made me just a little heartsick. I haven't heard from John. The same day, I came up here alone for our anniversary. There was no letter for me. I hope there cannot be anything the matter with John. The clock has just struck 9. I see the lights scattered all over the town, sometimes in rows where the streets are, and sometimes single. They run right up the S and die away in the curve of the valley. To my left, the view is cut off by a black line of roof of the old house next to the abbey. Sheep and lambs are bleating in the fields way behind them, and there's a clatter of donkeys' hooves up the paved road below. The band on the pier is playing a harsh waltz in good time. And further along the quay, there is a Salvation Army meeting in the back street. Neither of the bands hears the other, but up here I hear and see them both. I wonder where Jonathan is, and if he is thinking of me. I wish he were here. Dr. Seward's diary. June 5th. The case of Renfield grows more interesting the more I get to understand. He has certain qualities very largely developed, so is the purpose. I wish I could get at what is the object of the latter. He seems to have some settled scheme of his own, but what it is I do not know. His redeeming quality is a love of animals, though indeed he has such curious turns in it that I sometimes imagine he is only abnormally cruel. His pets are of odd sorts. Just now, his hobby is catching flies. He has at present such a quantity that I have had myself to expostulate. To my astonishment, he did not break out into a fury, as I expected, but took the matter in simple seriousness. He thought for a moment and then said, "May I have 3 days? I shall clear them away." Of course, I said, that would do. I must watch him. June 18th. He has turned his mind now to spiders and has got several very big fellows in a box. He keeps feeding them his flies, and the number of the latter is becoming sensibly diminished, although he has used half his food in attracting more flies from outside to his room. July 1st. His spiders are now becoming as great a nuisance as his flies, and today I told him that he must get rid of them. He looked very sad at this, so I said that he must something. At all events. He cheerfully acquiesced in this, and I gave him the same time as before for reduction. He disgusted me much while with him, but when a horrid blowfly, bloated with some carrion food, buzzed into the room, he caught it, held it exultantly for a few moments between his finger and thumb, and before I knew what he was going to do, put it in his mouth and ate it. I scolded him for it, but he argued quietly that it was very good and very wholesome, that it was life, strong life, and gave life to him. This gave me an idea, or the rudiment of one. I must watch how he gets rid of his spiders. He has evidently some deep problem in his mind, for he keeps a little notebook in which he is always jotting down something. Whole pages of it are filled with masses of figures, generally single numbers added up in batches, and then the totals added in batches again, as though he were focusing some account, as the auditors put it. July 8th. There is a method in his madness, and the rudimentary idea in my mind is growing. It will be a whole idea soon, and then, oh, unconscious celebration. You will have to give the wall to your conscious brother. I kept away from my friend for a few days so that I might notice if there are any changes. Things remain as they were, except that he has parted with some of his pets and got a new one. He has managed to get a sparrow and has already partially tamed it. His means of taming is simple, for already the spiders have diminished. Those that do remain, however, are well fed, for he still brings in the flies by tempting them with his food. July 19th. We are progressing. My friend has now a whole colony of sparrows, and his flies and spiders are almost obliterated. When I came in, he ran to me and said he wanted to ask me a great favor, a very, very great favor.
Did I go the wrong
And as he
way?
spoke,
Yes, you
he
did.
fawned on me like a dog.
Just make me
I asked
turn.
him what it was, and he said with a sort of rapture in his voice and bearing, "A kitten, a nice